which is not very often that we get a wet, soggy any day, apart from all of the storms that everyone saw in the world in a neighbouring town, which was a lot of rain. It was a lot. But just a normal amount today, which I'm not too displeased to see, because it's important going into the summer that we have some rain in the reservoirs. So today I am reviewing this wonderful cozy by author Jessica Brimer, and I'm just trying to pull up the cover for you now. So sometimes you can click on the cover and it'll come up, but I can't seem to do it. I don't know why it happens, but it does. So I'll just show you the picture of it off my Kindle. So that's the book cover. A Binding Chance, Mystery Bookshop series. Messy Bookshop Mysteries, sorry, because it's back to front. I'm a bit sort of, can't read. And her name is Jessica Brimer. Now, I've got a few notes about the author here, which I'm going to read out first. So do bear with me before we go through the synopsis and my overall review of this wonderful story, which just, yeah, ticked all my boxes on the cozy, feel-good vibe and everything. I might end up doing this in 2 parts because it's a bit chaotic downstairs. We've got doctors coming to the house, one of my children who's feeling under the weather and hasn't eaten for a couple of days. I'm like, want to find out what's going on there. And yeah, we might be having lunch anytime. So it's like, okay, if I get called away and I haven't concluded my review, then I'll come back and I'll tie it off. But I just wanted to prepare you all now before we tuck in. So this genre is a cozy murder mystery. It's got all the feels of like Murder, She Wrote, all the like the cozy, inviting story notes and vibe. Just that kind of, when you start reading this book, you know that you're in for a really nice, relaxed, pleasurable experience from start to finish. Okay, it's set in East Tennessee, in a town called Sevier Oaks. I don't know if that's a real place or fictionalized. I'm yet to do my research on that. It sounds a bit like Seven Oaks in the UK. And some information about Jessica. So she grew up herself in East Tennessee, and she says that Michigan is her second home. And yeah, I can attest to having a second home. England is my home, and Spain is my second home. So yeah, I really like the fact that she's well travelled and knows a lot of stuff geographically, because I've never been across the pond to the States. So when I learn about real places, I'm piqued, my interest is piqued. So I will be looking for Sevier Oaks to see if it's like a real place, and to learn more about areas of the world that I'm not privy to knowing about. In school, Jessica admits to putting her energies into her creative writing more so than her schoolwork. I have to hold my hand up here and agree with her on the whole, like when I was in school, I was a nightmare. I never did my homework. I was always away with the fairies. I was always in imagination land. You put a fictional book in front of me, I will digest that thing, and I could write an epistle on it. But, you know, schoolwork was just, yeah, didn't grip me as much as the creative side of things does. So I'm on board with this, with Jessica. I think if we'd been in school together, we'd have been very fast friends, because I kind of lived outside of a window. If I sat next to a window in class, it was fatal, because I was out of the window of my imagination, like, oh, dreaming up all these dreams and scenarios and stories, and yeah. Oh, I think the doctors have just turned up, but my hubby's down there, and I think too many cooks in the kitchen can be a bit, ooh, so he's more than equipped to deal with the doctors. And it's not like a serious, like, oh my God, it's just, she's not herself and we just want to get her checked out. Or it could also be a delivery. So, I really like that about Jessica's personality. And I was like, yay, I'm not the only one who was not into school, because she was too busy with her imagination running riot with all her story ideas and everything else. So clearly it was from a young age that Jessica was born to write. And as she became an adult, She spent years pouring her focus and energies into becoming a published author, which is a really special process. It's not always easy, and it can be extremely tricky and stressful. But once you find your flow and you find the people that you need to get you to where you need to be and how to get there, it's magic. It's lovely. Jessica's favourite genre, which is not a surprise, obviously, is cozies, and ones that feature bookshops are her absolute favourites. So I like the cozies that have like cafes in and bookshops, or bookshops with cafes in, or if I'm reading a paranormal cozy, you know, the whole thing of you know, magical homes and just that texture of story that is like really fulfilling and just takes you away from everyday life and just transports you into a portal of pure magic and escapism. I love it. And it reminds me of things like, you know, Murder, She Wrote, or Diagnosis Murder, or, you know, some of the Agatha Christie stuff, where if you're a fan of the Cluedo board game, yeah, that whole thing of like, gotta work out who's done it. And then sometimes you'll miss it completely, and you'll be like, I really didn't see that. And then at other times when you know who it is, or you think you know, and then it's confirmed, it's like, yes, I Scooby-Dooed the heck out of that, and I was right. So her favourite genre is cozies, ones with bookshops. And I can't read my own handwriting here. Jessica has more stories in her Messy Bookshop series, yeah, that I know myself I will definitely be seeking out, because if I like one, I'm gonna like the rest. And I have so many cozies on my Kindle, and so many authors now that I follow, and whenever they're going to release like the start of a new series, I'm like, I'm so there. I'm there like yesterday. Give me your stuff. Give me your cozy vibes. I want them all. I think the first cozy I read was by an author called Molly Maple, who's also known as Mary E. Twomey, and it was Marshmallow Murder, and she did it like a cupcake series, so there was always like an add-on to like the flavour of the cupcake, and mine was Marshmallow Murder, and that series is, oh, it's so good. I really enjoyed that. So let's jump into the synopsis and my review of this wonderful story, which I just loved. I've really had fun with it. I really have. So let's see what the synopsis says and break it down. Ooh. It's spooky. Okay, so Garnet Stone loves, I love that name as well, Garnet Stone. It's so unique, it's so different to any of the other books, you know, like the plain Jane names, or the John Does, or, you know, like Brian or Frank, or Sally, or I was going to say Jessica, but then every time I hear Jessica, I always think of Jessica Fletcher. It's one of my favourite names, as is Melissa. I love Melissa as well, because I had an amazing science teacher called Melissa. So Garnet Stone loves working, oh hang on, I've missed a line, that's a good start. Everyone loves Teresa's bookstore, a cosy little store in East Tennessee. Garnet Stone loves working there just as much as reading books. She works hard to keep the store's nosy cat out of trouble. So instantly, if you're a pet lover and you love cats, it's like, oh, there's a cat in there. I want to know more about the kitty cat. So the nosy cat out of trouble while tidying the sales floor. So already it's telling the reader there's cats in this, there's a bookstore, so there's like cozy vibes already coming out. It's like lusciousness. But when the owner of the bookstore, Teresa, unexpectedly passes away, Garnet learns that she left everything to her niece, Jane. Now, Jane's a bit of a funny character. We will get into that. I have a love-hate relationship with Jane, we'll say. Pushing aside her bitterness, Garnet busts a move to clean the store's clutter to impress her new boss. After Jane arrives to announce the store's closure, things take a turn for the worse, and another dead body is found in the bookstore. The new sheriff believes Jane is the killer, but Garnet knows her new boss isn't to blame. Her roots in a law enforcement and family give her confidence in solving the murder. It's a bit like Jessica Fletcher. She's got it up here. She's got that detective nous already because she's got links to Law and Order. But she quickly discovers it won't be an open and shut case like she had hoped. Oh boy, is this book a roller coaster. It really is. It's yeah. And poor Jane. I do feel a little bit sorry for her, even though I have a bit of a love-hate relationship with her in the beginning, because she's a little bit of a prickly sister, this character, let me tell you. Your heart does soften towards Jane as the story goes on. Unusual clues point to multiple people, yet the suspects have concrete alibis. Ain't that just annoying when that happens and you're like, God, someone without an alibi. If Garnet cannot solve the perfect crime, Teresa's bookstore will be gone. And that would be really sad. But I'm guessing it doesn't go because I've read the book and I know what happens. And also there's like 2 more books in this series. I've just seen them on here, so I'm definitely going to be getting those. So book 1 is A Binding Chance. Book 2, it says here, is Book High and Low. I love that. And the 3rd one is Up on the Bookshop, The Body Fell. They're going to have to sage that place for like all the dead bodies and ghosts that might be hanging around in there. Oh, so it's a good read. So I loved the intro because even though I've never been to America, that the way that Jessica builds the imagery in your mind, it's like you're there. It's like you're in the store. Like I could really picture the layout and the rooms and the vibe and the smells and the text. I could imagine actually walking into it, and that's when I know I'm onto a good one. And the cats, I love Butterscotch. Butterscotch is my favorite, I have to say. There's just something about the name and the behavior of the cat. I really, really enjoyed reading the whole story. I did like the cats in the story, but Butterscotch was the one that kept coming to the front of my mind. I like the fact that there's this sort of display of authority from the bookstore's original owner's niece as she comes in trying to like throw her weight around, and Garnet is obviously taken aback because she's poured a lot of hours and time and energy into this place. It's part of her heart and a bit of home to her. So, you know, when someone comes tramping on this and they're trashing on everything, like this is this and why is this like this and ugh, what is that, and that's just disgusting and what the hell, and not appreciating what actually has happened, you know. Yeah, I could feel that tension there in the beginning. And then somewhere amidst Jane sort of chatting to Garnet, and then some other characters come in. I don't want to give any spoilers. There's obviously a murder, and the way that the murder was like put into the story was sort of like a little bit of a shock factor, because it was like, you know, you're getting so relaxed with the characters and you're milling around with Garnet and Jane and the cats, and you're in there, and then all of a sudden there's like this shriek and then somebody's died, and it's like, oh my god, what, like how did that happen? So immediately your brain is in a detective mode, like who could it have been? And then you think of possible suspects already, but it's Jane that gets arrested, and she is like the main focus. And at times I found myself sort of almost shouting at the book, like, it's not Jane, it's not Jane, can you not see that it's not Jane? I could feel like Garnet's frustration through this book, like, you're not listening to me. And also the sort of, it's like banter, but in a negative setting in the start of the book between the detectives and her, and they they kind of look at her like down their noses because her family are quite highly held in regard in like law enforcement because of her dad and stuff. You know, like, and it's like one of the detectives has a bee in his bonnet, like, just don't think because you're a Garnet you can, you know, trample all over my crime scene. You know, like, don't you think about getting your Garnet stone shoes all over my crime scene, get away from my crime scene, you know. And then there's a funny little incident with the cat and the body, the dead body, which did make me chuckle. And I love the way that you can go all the way through the story, and when you get to the end, the way it ends, it's not like to be continued, so you can read it as a standalone novels. And because I haven't read the other two, I can't really say whether you need to read them in order or you can read them like standalone novels. So I'm looking forward to reading the other two, to also figure that out for myself, because I know with my own book series, they're not necessarily standalones, but some readers have actually said that they don't feel necessarily like they would have to read the books in order, which did take me back by surprise, because I've heard both sides of that. Like, some people were a bit disappointed, saying like they would have wanted a standalone novel, but I've said in the description of my books that, you know, the 4 books are not standalone. You need to read them, and this is the order they go in. It's like one story split into 4 books, and that's it. That's it, what it is. Like, you know, if they misread it or they didn't see that, you know, beforehand, then that's not my issue, that's theirs. But that's small potatoes. Like, most people like to make books a lot, so that's why I've got my drive and enthusiasm to help other authors get more reach. So this is totally free service, and I will also be doing my review on Amazon and Goodreads for Jessica, as well as giving her a bit of a shout out on YouTube, because the struggle is real. Being an indie author, the struggle is real, and I just love to read. I don't need an excuse to read a good book, and I do a lot of reviews on Amazon and Goodreads. I've read so much in recent years alongside writing my own books, and I'm thinking to myself, I do a lot of reviews for authors. Like, every book I read, I review, and how can I up the ante? How can I give them more exposure? So I thought, why not do a YouTube channel? It costs me nothing to sit here and chat to you all, and to chat to you about the books I've read and have enjoyed, and hopefully I've done a good job selling it to you, because this is a good one. If you are going on a journey, or you've got like a flight or something, and you're going to be sitting down for a while and you've got hours to kill, or you're just snuggling up at home, maybe you're feeling a bit under the weather and you just want a book to help you pass the time, or cozy inside from, you know, wet and windy wild weather out there, because let's face it, the weather at the minute around the world is a little cuckoo. It's a little cuckoo crazy. So yeah, if I can help inject some coziness into your libraries and give you all those good vibes by recommending the story, you know, hand on heart, this is an honest review, and I've had so much fun reading it, and to review it, just feels so good to be able to do that for authors. So if you'd like me to read and review for you, just email me. I think the email address is Emma Bruce Author YT, shorthand for YouTube, @gmail.com, or there's my other one, which is pinkflamingo484 @gmail.com. And yeah, if you email me, then I can obviously have a look at your book and see if it would be one that I would love to read and give you guys a review. So yes, I hope you've enjoyed Jessica's review. It's a good story. It really is. I've really enjoyed it, and I will be put my teeth back in, recommending it to all my friends in the cozy world, of which I've made quite a few friends now. And yeah, I hope it just gives her more reach and puts her books out there, because it really was a pleasure to read, and I will definitely be getting the other 2 books in the series. So other than that, I will say good afternoon. I hope you're all having a good start to the week, and I look forward to jumping on a live again with the next book, because the next book I have been asked to read is a weighty tome, and it's got David Lynch vibes to it, going by the synopsis, so I'm really excited to read it and bring it to you guys once I've read it and I'm reviewing it. And I haven't read a book like this before. I read the synopsis and I was a bit like, oh, I don't know how I'm going to get on with this, so we'll see. But yeah, in the meantime, if you've got cozies and you want me to read and review, let me know and I will happily do that for you. So that's it, guys. Take care of yourselves. Stay safe, stay well, be good, look after one another, and I will catch you on my next live. All right, guys, take care. Bye.